Hi, I'm Tom Key. I'm going to describe for you the different elements of what we call the theatrical plant or the theater plant, the stage space. Let me just start by showing you upstage. So the back part of the theater, the actual stage space, is referred to as upstage. The forward part of the theater is referred to as downstage. Now, the reason that we call it upstage and downstage is during the, back in the day, as you would, during the Restoration, stages were raked, meaning that the back of the theater was actually a little higher than the front of the theater. That way people could see a little bit better. Action that took place on the back was not lost because the audiences were on a flat surface. So it came into practice to refer to the back of the stage as upstage and the front of the stage as downstage. Now, in this particular theater, the Waterman, this is an elevator stage. So this section here can actually lower and become an orchestra pit. As it is laid out right now, this is actually what we call continental staging, continental seating. It sort of curves around. It also has something of what we refer to as a thrust, because it comes downstage of the proscenium arch, which is all around us here. This sort of picture frame that frames what we're looking at on the stage. So this is the proscenium arch, and this is technically what we call the apron, okay, that which comes downstage of the proscenium arch. But because it kind of comes out and there's a little bit of seating to those sides, I'm actually forward of some of those seats. That would be technically what we call a thrust stage. Now, a real thrust stage would come out quite a ways, and you'd have seating on two sides over here as well as in front of you. I know that's a lot to take in, but the main parts are that we have upstage, downstage, apron, proscenium arch. Now, there's only two more things I want to add. When you are on stage, the directionality, I'm not sure if that's a word, but I'm going to use it anyway. The directions that you use are right and left based on yourself facing downstage. So this would be stage right, and this would be stage left. Everything is according to perspective. So when I'm on stage, a director would tell me to go stage right. He's telling me to go to my right if I'm facing downstage, if I'm facing towards the audience. However, when I'm out in the audience and the house manager or an usher is telling someone what direction to go, they are orienting themselves from the audience point of view. So they would say, I would like you to go house right or house left. So as soon as you cross over into this new perspective, the audience as opposed to the performer, you begin to orient yourself based on their point of view. Them facing the stage, house right, house left. Actor facing the audience, stage right, stage left. So I want to talk to you about offstage and what we call our wing space. What I'm looking at here, this curtain has several different names. It's, in old-fashioned terminology, we think of this as a teaser. Some people refer to it as a leg. What it is it is forming the stage left side of our picture frame. We have the proscenium arch, which we took a look at. On either side, we want to bring that frame in so that the audience, if we turn around and look at it this way, is seeing something inside that frame. And these legs or teasers are framing that picture, so that when I look at it, I don't see all of things that are happening off in the wings, backstage. If I turn and look into this area, backstage, right now I see a lot of road cases, probably filled with audio equipment, video equipment that's going to be loaded on stage. During a show, I would see actors waiting here, props staged back here, maybe costumes to be changed into. Actually, the scenery itself comes on and off lots of times from this area. Actually, in this particular theater, we have a large door back here that goes into a space where more scenery can come straight out of the scene shop itself. In the 19th century, theaters were doing extremely realistic work. It was the Industrial Revolution. Audiences came to the theater for spectacle. They were interested in seeing the latest stage machines, vividly realistic sets changed magically one after the other. In those theaters, we would have elevator stages like the one that we sort of pointed out here that can be lowered. That can be lowered for an orchestra pit to create an orchestra pit or a second level. An elevator stage in this space in the 19th century might have encompassed the entire on-stage space. There would have been an entire floor below us and another floor above us. The entire elevator would have moved up, scenery would have come on, it would have lowered, and you would have seen an entirely new set. Likewise, in this space, we might have had a revolve or a turntable type of stage where we would look at one stage right now, it would rotate, and we would see an entirely another set. While people were on that set, back here, a whole nother set would be changed. It would rotate, turn, brand new set for the theater audience to see. You'll still see sets change like that in Broadway or in big, large regional theaters. Now, underneath us are what we call a series of traps. You can see these seams in the floor. These sections will come up to reveal staircases that go down to a second level. This is all hollow, all sprung, this floor. So there's an entirely other level below us that we can lift sections out of this, which might create say, a house on stage. People walk down the stairs into the lower level. This would create an opportunity to do that. People can pop up from underneath the floor, etc. This series of pulleys, ropes, and weights is essential to the theater. This is what we call the fly system. Okay? It goes up to something that we call the grid. Lots of times there will be a midsection here about where these black lights are, where people will run these ropes from a slightly higher space so that there would actually be room to move scenery through here. That would be called a fly loft. This particular theater does not have a fly loft. The flies come all the way down to what we call the deck or the stage floor. Each of these is a counterweight system. This rope is counterweighted using this series of weights so that we are able to lower these pipes that are above the stage. Now, these pipes can be hung with curtains, they can be hung with lights, they could even be hung with people on a piece of scenery, and you pull on this rope, and the pipe lowers and raises. We put weight on here so that we're not yanking to try to lift all of that weight up, or we don't have that weight wanting to come crashing to the floor. Here, it's counterweighted with the same system that we use when we have an elevator in a building. This ladder leads to a second platform and up to the grid. The grid is where things are anchored off. In this area, we'll have all of the lighting will be hung above the stage. Right now, we're not seeing any of that. You'll see a few lights that are still up in this area. But as we turn our attention out into the house, we see all of these we call coves that are up over the stage. This is all area for lighting. These bars that are sticking out, all area for lighting. And this is a great way for us to look at one of the most important places in the theater, and that is the control booth. The control booth is where the lighting control and the sound control, AV control all takes place. Obviously, it needs to be out in the house so that they can see what the audience is saying. They can watch the lighting go up and down. They can hear what the audience is hearing. The last thing I want to point out about the stage, about the house, and that's what we call the area where the audience is seated, the house. As I mentioned, we oriented house left, house right. But you'll notice that there's a bit of a slope to the audience, and that is what we call a rake. Just like we talked about a rake stage. You say the rake of the house gives us a sense of the back of it being higher than the front, allowing a very important thing, and that is for this deck or stage floor to be visible from the front all the way to the back of the house. So if I paint something on this floor, I draw something on the floor, or I do something on the floor, I'm on the floor. If I was on the floor like this, having something happen, a moment between myself and another actor, and everybody was on this level, no one would be able to see what happened up here. Now, everybody can see it all the way to the back of the audience because the audience is raised up. They're looking down at the floor rather than straight across.